Oh, fantastic. Excellent. Meanwhile, more signs of a recovery for the UK economy. Today's labour market figures, as mentioned, showing that unemployment rate did fall unexpectedly to 7.7% in the 3 months to July. And as mentioned, that's slightly less than what we were looking at the previous month. And that move lower, it simply means that the jobless rate is moving slowly closer to that 7% level that the Bank of England has earmarked as the barrier before rates can then start to move up again. But despite that drop in the overall unemployment level, youth unemployment is still rising. An initiative set up by the food and grocery industry aimed to help get young people into work, and it's now in its second year running. The scheme, dubbed Feeding Britain's Future, runs for the month of September. And joining us now, Joanne Denney-Finch, the CEO of IGD, and they're the ones who are behind the initiative. Welcome.
Thank you.
And also joining us is Patrick Coveney. He's the CEO of food group Greencore. Welcome, Patrick. Joanne, let's start with you and this initiative, Feeding Britain's Future. Just talk to us a bit about the initiative and what exactly it is.
Yeah. Well, first of all, good news about unemployment figures coming down, but as you rightly say, a long way to go with just under 1 million young people still unemployed. The food and consumer goods industry is the biggest private sector employer, 3.7 million jobs, 1 in 7, and they're very committed and feel passionate about these young people who are unemployed. Last year we talked in Birmingham to a lot of young unemployed people, and we asked them what it is that we as the biggest employer could do to help them given the challenges they face in a very difficult market. What they said to us was that they needed practical help. So how do I actually approach my CV? How do I actually prepare for an interview? What do employers expect of me at an interview? So very simple, basic stuff. And even though many others have actually helped them, what they said was it would be really good to do this with a real employer rather than school, college, university, friends or family. So across the industry, during the month of September, 180 companies are actually going to open up their farms, their shops, their depots, their factories to 15,000 young people.
Fantastic.
In 1,200 locations to try and help them with the things that they said really mattered, and most importantly, to boost their confidence.
And you're one of these companies?
We are indeed.
So why did you decide to take part in this?
Well, we're actively involved with the IGD, and so as a full industry, we're participating in this. But the reason we're doing it is that first of all, it's the right thing to do, and secondly, it's it gives us access to people who can work with us for next year, the year after that, and build a career with us, either with us or with other players in the food industry.
But the people then who would be part of the scheme, then they can go on to get a permanent job immediately afterwards, or do they go back and get more training?
Yeah. Let me give you an example. So I mean, on Monday we had 24 people aged between 16 and 24 who came to one of our facilities in Sheffield. We co-hosted it with the Mayor of Rotherham and with the Learning and Development part of Unite the Union. And we took that group through what the food industry was, what a career would look like in that, and we got people who would have been peers 2, 3, 4 years ahead of the young people who came into our site to talk about how they started out. And actually, it's sometimes hard to describe just how important that is. If you have people who often come from families where there's long-term unemployment, who don't understand what an interview is, how they need to dress to come to an interview, what a CV looks like, what turning up on time means. And so some of those things that you or I might think of being relatively basic or straightforward, if you can describe that in a language which some references that really mean something to young people, it can be extremely helpful. So we've done that, and of that group of 24, we now have 18 coming back for a formal assessment on the 25th and 26th of September, and hopefully some of those will end up working with us later in the year.
Oh, excellent. And the government is behind this? government is backing it.
Absolutely. I must say, last year the Prime Minister was hugely supportive, met with a lot of young people in our industry, and some of those who are going to benefit from Feeding Britain's Future. This morning, good news, we have a nice quote of support from him. But what I would like to say is across all parties, we've had fantastic interest from ministers, shadow ministers and MPs who are actually coming out to the regions to see this in action.
And you say, I mean, again, it's called Feeding Britain's Future. So which, it's just the sector, or it's across a variety of sectors?
Yeah, well, it covers the, I mean, one of the things that's, I think, unique about it is that it's the totality of the food industry. So it goes from farming right the way to food, through to food retailing, food service. So it's got,
the entire food chain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, we've come together, it's not competitive. We're sharing learnings around how to do it well. And it's really reflective of an industry that I think, and I can say this as an Irishman, if I may, that is a sort of sleeping giant of the UK economy. We account, as Joanne said, for 1 in 7 of everyone who works in the UK. It's the largest single industry, and it's actually an industry that Britain does pretty well. And we have responsibilities that come from that, which is to try to tackle hard this issue, which is running right the way across Europe, which is youth unemployment. So we're trying to do something about it.
Joanne, Patrick, thank you very much for coming in to share your time. Joanne Denney-Finch, the CEO of IGV, and Patrick Coveney, the CEO of Greencore. Thank you. You can find us on Twitter, as usual, at Louisa Boyson, or on email. It's on screen for you, European closing bell at cnbc.com.